Morning everyone, and welcome back to the Runpreneur vlog, where we discuss all things entrepreneurship and running. It is a slightly warmer morning today. It's 2 degrees, which is warm considering it's been minus for about the past God knows how many weeks. A little bit breezy though, so hopefully it's not too bad running conditions. And it's Tuesday Tactics today, where we discuss all things business systems and also outsourcing. And the topic we're going to discuss today is the importance of break-even analysis, understanding it, how you do it, and why you should do it. So as always, if you like this video, please give it a like and a subscribe, and let's get started. So, break-even analysis. Now, I'm sure, well, I made the assumption, you know what they say about assumptions, but there you go. I made the assumption a while back that any entrepreneur is going to know what break-even analysis is, because it's so important to the fundamental financial situation of the business. But what was fairly alarming is how few entrepreneurs understand this. They actually do it. They understand that it changes over the course of time, and if without it, you're basically blind. And especially when you're starting up a new business, you've got to know your break-even figure or your break-even number of units, you know, straight off the bat, or as you're building it, so you know what you need to sell in order to break even as such. So that's hopefully described what it is. It's the break-even point in which you are no longer losing money. Now, every single business is going to have overheads of some kind. I mean, a lot of people forget this, that you are a cost, regardless that if your business, you own it. You know, there's a cost attached to you, and you should, even if you put something nominal in for you to begin with, as a kind of a menial salary or wage, you should do so, because it's better putting the costs in, you know, and factoring in for them. You may not take that money every week or month, but have it in your accounts to ensure that you're factoring in some form of remuneration for you. And really key, because lots of people don't do that when they start a business and end up never having the ability to take money out of the business for a long time. So if you do it this way around, that journey to getting some money out of yourself should be a little bit quicker. So that's point one. Point two is that every business has overheads. Okay, so now some businesses are overhead light. You know, a lot of online business now, you get businesses popping up in people's bedrooms and things, where there's no rent or bills and stuff, because you've incorporated it into your home. But if you are one of these individuals working from home, I would still honestly recommend that you put some form of costing in against that. Really, really important you do this, because so many people don't. Again, you know, you're not always, if your business is going to scale and grow, you may not always find yourself working from a bedroom or even a house. If you are working from the house, you need to put some form of a percentage of the overhead attached to running that business. So make your business, you know, budget to cover a percentage of the overheads at the home, which is completely tax legal, if that makes sense. So again, you should be doing things like that. So even if you're running things on a shoestring, your time is one, and if you're working and you're starting up in your own home or something and you're thinking, oh yeah, I've got no overhead, factor in overhead straight off the bat. It makes more realistic worst case scenario forecasting, as opposed to, oh yeah, we've got no overheads, when of course your time is an overhead, and wherever you're working, the cost of kind of maintaining those premises, whether it's your home or personal room or whatever, has an overhead attached to it. So that's rule number two. Everyone has overheads. When I'm talking about overheads, I'm predominantly meaning fixed costs. Okay, costs that happen regardless of whether or not you make a sale. Okay, the second element of cost is your kind of cost of sale. Okay, so this is a little bit more technical, but you still need to understand it. So what does it cost you to produce whatever product or service you're selling? Let's give you a couple of examples here. So in property, for example, we have a property business. You know, I have a rental income, okay, so I have but the cost of sale is what money do I have to pay out in order to get that money coming in? Well, you could argue that, you know, the cost of achieving that rent is that if I've got a management agent, I pay a management fee, which is directly linked to that rental income. So that is a cost of sale. I may have maintenance attached to maintaining the units at that level to ensure I get the rent. So that might go down as a cost of sale. You know, mortgage payments. Okay, if they're not paid, okay, I'd lose the house. So that's linked to, if I don't pay the mortgage, I'm not able to rent the room. So that could be deemed as a cost of sale. Now there are some grey areas here, and different accountants will tell you to put certain things in your fixed costs and certain things in your cost of sale. My perspective is to take advice from an accountant, because people do muddle this up. But however you slice and dice it, you and your accountant need to be on the same page on this. If it's slightly, you know, some accountants might recommend one thing, others may recommend another. Look, I'm not a financial advisor, but I just listen to what my accountant says. But as long as you're both on the same page, then your figures are going to be consistent when you're discussing them, which is the most important thing. So cost of sale is anything that's directly related to that money coming in. So it's more typical in a manufacturing business. If you're manufacturing a product, how much does the raw material cost? How much does the labour cost to make a product? In subscription-based businesses, so we're about to launch a social media agency. You know how you know, it's a service-based business. It's predominantly costing based on the time and resource I have to apply to each client. Okay, so I know how much it costs per episode to deliver, if that's how, or piece of content, how to repurpose it across all platforms. I know how much that costs. Okay, so when I put so I understand that figure. So that is I know my cost of sale for each and every episode, and then I just multiply that by how many episodes are being published on a multiple basis. So I know my cost of sale. So you need to know those two figures. Okay, what's your fixed cost? What's your cost of sale? Or overheads is another word for fixed costs. Variable cost is another word for cost of sale. But you have to understand those two. Okay. So what you'll then find is that when you're setting your price, okay, you should know these two figures before you set your price, because what you can do is you can create a very simple spreadsheet whereby you can start looking at, right, my fixed costs are X, my cost of sale is Y, so then you can work out your margin to reflect how many products or services you need to sell in order to break even. So what we're doing there is how much profit you're making on a sale to cover your fixed cost, because your profit will be your sales revenue minus your cost of sale, or your variable cost, which is your profit, or if you put it in percentage terms, it's a gross profit margin. But I'm interested in pounds, really. So what is the profit figure per sale? And then you basically, your fixed cost divided by that profit will tell you how many units you need to sell in order to break even. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Number of units is often easy. Some people use money. I always like number of sales, pure and simply because it's more tangible, it's more understandable. So, for example, I might need two subscriptions to cover my social media content repurposing agency. So something along those lines, because the lower your fixed costs are, the lower number of sales or subscriptions you need to make. Obviously that's going to be relevant to the price that you sell for. So the one caveat to that is when you're pricing up what product or service you're selling, you want to check out your competition to make sure you're not pricing yourself out the market. Okay, now I did some analysis on my social media content repurposing agency, and basically I'm making a really healthy margin, and because of the way I've been set up and structured, yeah, I'm still like nearly 4 times cheaper than one of our key competitors, so which is staggering. So okay, they're a lot more established and got a lot more experience, but 4 times, and we're actually delivering more, and we're 4 times cheaper. So, and that's with a really healthy margin. So that's super cool to know that. So but what I'm trying to get across here, without going off on too much of a tangent, because I generally find when I start talking about a subject, I waffle off in all sorts of different directions. Part of it is because my mind perhaps isn't working as clearly as it would if I wasn't running, but 2, because I just go with the flow and see where it takes me, and hopefully there's some good value in it. But the key point here is that so many entrepreneurs don't know this. They don't know what their break-even figure is, and they're worried and they're wondering why they're losing money. Well, this is one of the key fundamentals. You've got to know this figure, because once you know this figure and you start assessing your accounts and you look at in real terms, you need to be looking at how many sales you make per day, per week, per month, per quarter, and know what that directly relates to in terms of how many you need to make to break even. And then you can start assessing forecasts and cash flow forecasts and targets based on real data on making a profit, because then you might find that the more profit you make, you might want to take on another member of staff. Okay, well, let's factor that into the break-even analysis. So what does that increase the number of sales to cover that cost? Am I comfortable in doing that? You've also got to remember that the aim of the business will, more often than not, is to make some money. So if you take on more overhead, profit figure is going to drop at the bottom, especially if you're reinvesting. So can you justify that with an increase of sales? So that's when you can start looking at marketing forecasts and stuff. So it's all linked, but this data will dictate and give you so much clarity. Josh Keegan, someone who coaches me in the profit process, he's an ex-chartered accountant, now turned entrepreneur, and he doesn't do his own accounts. He has a key outsources to an accountant, but he understands this stuff better than most, and he talks very much so about financial clarity, and that's something that so many entrepreneurs don't have. If you don't have that, you're basically blind in business. Being blind in business, you're a massive disadvantage to somebody who's got full use of their vision, and that's something that needs to be understood. So, just to summarise, it's the break-even point is the point in which you are no longer losing money and you're just moving into making profit. So the point in which you break even. So point number 2, every business has costs, okay? There are overhead or fixed costs which are recurring and constant regardless of whether you're selling or not, and you have variable costs or cost of sale, which is stuff which is directly linked to the sale of a given product or service. Okay, so you need to understand both of those. Once you understand both of those and you know what your selling price is, your selling price minus your cost of sales or your variable costs will give you your profit per sale figure. Okay, that profit per sale figure, which is your gross margin per profit, or your gross profit per product sale, you then want to divide your total fixed costs by that figure. Okay, if you do that, that will tell you how many units you need to sell, okay, or subscriptions you need to sell to cover the overhead in your business. Okay, point 3, put some overhead in there for you, put some overhead in there for, heat, water, all these types of things. Even if you're working from home and you're covering that yourself, that is a business cost. It needs to go through the business. Okay, so you might not put it through immediately, but budget for it immediately, so it's not, a warning sign further down the line. So this is realistic, or worst case scenario. It's not worst case scenario, but realistic accounting. So many people manipulate their figures to make them look more profitable, but I'd rather look more profitable in my bank balance than I would on a spreadsheet. So that's super important. So third is second was factoring the cost for yourself and for also for any premises that you're kind of working out of. And the third one is understanding the importance of realistic accounting. Plan for worst case, not best case. And if you plan for worst case and you exceed that, then you're going to be in a good place. So that's pretty much it for me today. I hope this has been useful. As always, if you've got any questions and stuff, drop me a comment. I'll respond to everyone. If it's a bigger question, still drop me a comment and I'll respond potentially by a vlog episode, and I'll tag you in and give you my wider ranging running opinion. And if this is not for you, no drama or it's irrelevant, just unfollow. You don't have to unfriend me. Unfollowing will stop my content hitting your feed every day. But before you do that, make sure you check out the Runpreneur YouTube channel, whereby all my episodes are catalogued nice and neatly in playlists, and I do a different topic on every day of the week. So just because today's topic may not be relevant, hopefully there'll be some other stuff in there on a different day which is very relevant. So check out the channel and then you can look through stuff via playlist, which is super cool. Also check out the Facebook Runpreneur community group whereby I host my free resources which accompany this vlog. My first one being my 70-step process to content repurposing, reformatting and optimising content across all social platforms. So this is what I do with the vlog every day. It takes over 10 hours a day to get one of my episodes out across every platform, edited, all of that side of things. If you want to be big on content in the future, then you need to check out the checklist and see what steps you have to go through. Either bring in the team yourself or outsource it to someone who can do it for you, because you can't miss out on the marketing opportunity that social media creates and provides. And all that's left to say really is that the Runpreneur vlog was set up to help entrepreneurs and business owners overcome the emotions of stress, anxiety and overwhelm by using exercise, and in my case running, as a release valve or release mechanism to relieve that pressure of stress, anxiety, overwhelm, process it, get clarity and focus on it, and thrive rather than bury your head in the sands and crumble. And that's what happens if you don't have this release mechanism. The pressure builds up like a pressure in a pipe, and pressure gets too big or too high in a pipe, the pipe bursts. And in that scenario, well, that analogy, the entrepreneur either has a breakdown or the business breaks down. And either or is often terminal to the likelihood of your business lasting the test of time. Now, I've been there. I've lost so many businesses in the past because of these emotions. I've lost multiple business partners because of these emotions, and I've also nearly been bankrupt because of these emotions, or the knock-on effect that they've had on my working life and personal life. So I've been there, I've done it. It's a horrible place, and too many entrepreneurs are still there. And I've found this way now to deal with it. And you know, my pledge to you guys is, if you are somebody struggling with this and struggling with entrepreneurial pride, what I mean by that is you're bottling all this up, you can't release it, you've got no one to talk to, drop me a message. Okay, there's no catch at all here whatsoever. It's just I want to try and help you, because I've been there and it's horrible. And a few entrepreneurs have taken me up on this already, and hopefully they're implementing some positive tips that I've given them into their routines to try and get some perspective and get them back on the right path to success. So don't be stubborn. If you need some help, reach out. It's completely free, no obligation, no catch whatsoever. So that's it for me today. All that's left to say is that, remember, if you like this episode, please give it a like, comment and subscribe. If you want to watch similar content, please check out the playlist link where you can binge watch relevant content in playlist form. And I'll end as always with stay positive, stay happy, and I'll see you tomorrow.